Four Knights of the Apocalypse Chapter 201 is officially out today, and this was a really good chapter once again. We're really building up the hype. We got answers to a question that we've had about a year ago now from a specific item. We now have a bit more of the fight between the Four Knights and the members of the Four Perils that are here right now. We kind of get what we were expecting towards the end, and the current group is kind of facing some very opposing odds on both ends of the spectrum. So yeah, things are really getting intense, and I really do hope a certain character shows up in the next couple of chapters, because things are looking to get pretty intense. But before we jump into things, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps me and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Also, go ahead and check out my second channel, GW Comics, where I talk about American comic books. Right now, I am building up some videos to release towards the end of August, early September, and I'm also planning to do a couple of analysis videos on there too when I get the chance. That's a passion project. I'd be very appreciated if you guys checked it out and subscribed, because I want to do some stuff on there like I do here on there. And spoilers for future stuff I have planned. I'm planning to do like a big Superman video. I'm also planning to cover some stuff and talk about the massive verse from Image Comics, talking about stuff like Radiant Black, Rogue Sun, and Inferno Girl Red. That has a lot of stuff that I'm excited to talk about, because I just started reading those off on the side. But that's some things I'm really excited to talk about. That and everything going on with Absolute DC and potentially Absolute Marvel. I'm gonna have some fun on that channel as well. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into the chapter. Chapter 201 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, titled Envoy from the Abyss. And the cover page is just Percival, Tristan, and Gawain just kind of goofing off. Gawain posing for the camera, trying to look as good as possible. Tristan and Percival just being goofballs. Mainly Percival being a goofball, off in the background, cheering. But we begin from the last chapter, after the Four Knights just absolutely humiliated the Four Perils, ripping off Beltrop's arm and just squashing World Dane's head in a jump fest. But this chapter starts off with these two getting back up, with World Dane just laughing as she ends up uncrunching her helmet and head, turning back to normal, as Percival sees that she can heal from even that and even fix her armor too. And it's then that the arm that Tristan ripped off in the last chapter, that's actually a correction they make, he didn't cut off the arm, he ripped it off, ends up being manipulated from Tristan's hand, begins slashing, cuts up the arena behind the group as they dodge the slashes, and then gets reattached to Beltrop's arm without any real repercussions, as if nothing had happened. As World Dane goes on to say that the Knights weren't too shabby, and in fact, it was pretty lovely. But they should know that if they hog all of the fun, the kids down there are going to get jealous. As the Four Knights are getting serious, we then cut back to Donnie as he's still holding up the piece of the arena that Beltrop cut up in the last chapter, as they're finally managing to hit the ground, with the whole thing shattering and everybody beginning to fall. But Howzer makes the save from everybody in the crowd as he uses his tornadoes to soften the fall for everybody and gently place them on the ground. Honestly, Howzer, the man comes in clutch. I feel like he's getting even more love in Four Knights in comparison to Seven Deadly Sins, in my honest opinion, with how often him, heck, even Gother, the two of them have a lot of moments where they save or like back up the main group a good amount. This arc in particular, Howzer has been pretty good at supporting the main group and the side cast, so I'm really loving it. Nazian saved On and the two Isoldas with their Percival sponge thing with Chassis Fold, as Donnie is kind of like unable to move now that he's used up all of his energy, with Howzer really complimenting him, saying that he truly has become a holy knight. But just he's saying that, everybody gets like a very ominous shiver as something begins to appear from behind them, as we see this giant hunk of armor with nunchucks walking towards the group, a giant golem walking towards them. And it then roars as it raises its arm, and in a 2-page spread, it hits the ground, causing a massive break in the ground. As everybody's wondering what that thing is, as she says, its name is Goliath, the great soldier of revenge. A golem she made from all the bodies of the holy knights that died fighting the god of war these past 2 years. Okay, Nakaba, you are not slick here. the past 2 years, God of War, slain. This is just Lancelot. This is straight up Lancelot. And it really makes me feel like my theory from about a year ago now, that the past 2 years, Lancelot's just been going on a revenge quest for Percival against Chaos Knights, is basically coming true. And I kind of love it. I love the idea of Lancelot over these past 2 years kind of going all John Wick on the people that killed his best friend, or got his best friend killed. I absolutely love that idea, and if that is Lancelot, and it pretty obviously is, it's not very well hidden, I'm going to be hyped and excited. But we also get a close-up of the inside and the interior of the Goliath, with all these hands and corpses just clung together, reaching out from even the visor of the helmet, as it's being pushed forward by vengeful spirits and raging ghouls, as it just pummels and flattens foes with massive force. Heck, it now even launches some magical blasts at the group, and they all barely manage to dodge it and even try and dodge its footsteps. And right as the Goliath is turning towards the basic bystanders, our new goat Balin decapitates it with an instant with his head cutter blade, as if it was nothing. Now the main group is thinking, oh, Balin just one-shot him. Balin the Invincible strikes again. But Gareth points out that, yeah, no, that's not going to be enough to take him down, with even Balin realizing that his cut basically did nothing, as the Goliath reaches for the head and just in an ominous silhouette picks it up like it's nothing, as Worldane says, oh yeah, I almost forgot. There's another trait to this guy. Right as this thing attaches its head back onto its body, Worldane reveals that she used the drug of yore on this creature. And so now, it can resurrect itself as over and over again. And as Worldane is preparing a bunch of attacks, she says, remember that gift I left from the Fairy King's realm, from the Fairy King's forest? There wasn't much left of it, so I used some of it myself. So, let's see, can they kill it enough times to make the effects become inert? But let's see how many of your friends can hold out to begin with, until my little toy here is fully defeated, as she launched attacks towards Percival. So, this is actually a pretty good move by Nakba, and especially Worldane, making a seemingly close to unbeatable soldier made up of vengeful spirits and corpses using the drug of yore that is supposed to have super regenerative abilities. I mean, we saw in the Fairy King's realm, Worldane basically had her guts spewing out. She drank some of it and she came back like it was normal. But using it on these corpses and them being vengeful spirits, turning it into a literal golem out for revenge, just destroying anything in its path. That's interesting, and it's kind of making it just a finite regenerative creature. So now the main group has to try and basically deal as much damage to it as possible as it keeps regenerating itself, making it so that our main group is most likely going to have to interfere, but all the side characters that are down below are probably going to run out of a lot of steam. Right now, the only characters that can really do anything to this monster would be Howzer, Nazienz, Balin, I believe our main Isolde, and I believe Keon with his spirit powers, if he does use them to his fullest extent, like we saw when he fought Tristan. Those are going to be the only characters that are really going to be able to do any real damage to this thing, but it all comes down to whether or not they can deal it enough damage so that it uses up all the regenerative properties that the drug of yore is cycling through it. Also, this goes to show just how much of a mad witch, mad sorceress Worldane is, using corpses for her experiments. Now, she said she used a bit of the drug of yore, so it's possible that there might still be some left. Because if she used up all of it on these corpses, and there's nothing left, or isn't able to remake it in some way, shape, or form, I would feel like that's kind of a waste. I really do hope that with the wording of some of it for it, I do hope that that wasn't the rest of the drug of yore. She just used a little bit of it for this experiment of Goliath. But time will tell. Let's see what happens. I really hope that it wasn't used up for this thing, because otherwise I'm going to call bullshit and say that was the dumbest decision for Worldane to make, and also for Nakba to make, due to the fact that how important the drug of yore was in the Fairy King's realm arc. I'm going to drop it for now. That'll be a discussion for another time if I can, but I'd be insanely disappointed if it was used up just for this Goliath creature, to only then get defeated by the secondary cast members in this section of the story, but it is what it is. Back to the chapter. Worldane unleashes a bunch of exterminate rays on Percival as he begins to block all of them, with Percival saying, "Fine, I'll defeat you as soon as I can, and keep everyone down there protected." With Worldane just saying, "Oh, you think you can defeat the 4 evils that fast? You truly think you can do that?" And then Percival, in an instance, just gets up in her face, and you see the look of sheer surprise and horror of Worldane as we see through her helmet, as Percival just says, "I can." And in the next panel, we see he sliced her up in 3 segments in an instant without her realizing, saying, "The way I am now, I can." And that is absolutely insane. Percival just straight up aura farmed and flexed on Worldane in an instant, was just like right up in her face, sliced her 3 times in 3 separate pieces, saying, "Oh yeah, I can beat you guys that fast if I really can, the way I am now." And he seemed to have proved it. But right as he cuts her up, he is then bonked and hit on the ground, along with Gawain and Tristan from behind, as all 3 of them manage to catch themselves on the ground, with them being shocked, especially Percival as he looks up. With Worldane continuing to say, not to rain on your parade, but I really think it's impossible, referring to him being beating the 4 evils, as the final page of the chapter shows that Pelgard and Ironside have finally appeared, and all 4 members of Arthur's 4 Perils, 4 evils, have made it to the battlefield, with now the 4 knights' 3-to-2 ratio now being at a disadvantage, 4 against 3. And that is a hype way to end off this chapter. I love the action in this chapter. Also, I didn't mention this earlier, I love that it's confirmed that basically, at least for Beltrop and Worldane, they're basically immortal seemingly in Camelot, or potentially this is Worldane's spell being able to rewind time. But Beltrop was also able to manipulate his arm while it was severed, so it could just be Worldane's magic, or just the power of chaos, giving them some extra abilities that they can do when they're critically injured. And now, while we got to see we saw a lot of Worldane and a bit of Beltrop's power, now we're gonna have to see Pelgard and Ironside with their chaos amps. And this is going to be really cool, because while I do think that the 4 knights are stronger in terms of pure strength right now against the 4 evils at the moment, it doesn't seem like the 4 evils are kind of pulling out all of the stops and going full force at this point. But now that all of them are there, their numbers advantage is gone, and so it's going to be a bit more of a difficult fight. And I cannot wait to see the personal struggle between Percival and Pelgard, since Pelgard has kind of been like a really cool uncle figure to him over the course of the series, and seeing Pelgard kind of just not remember him whatsoever and kind of lose what made him who he is, his humanity, that is going to piss off Percival beyond belief. It'd be awesome if that also makes Percival want to go like despair mode just to try and bring Pelgard back, because Pelgard is just that good of a guy. But even still, I'm excited. Hopefully Lancelot shows up to even the odds. Either that, or the group realizes that the chaos amp that the 4 evils have will be too much for just the 3 of them to handle, and that they need Lancelot, making them need to just escape with everybody out of Camelot, and then go out and try and find Lancelot, with obviously the clue of the God of War killing Chaos Knights over the last 2 years. So there's a lot we can work with from this. But either way, I am very happy with this chapter. Like I said earlier, the Goliath thing is really, really cool, and it's good to give our secondary cast members something to do on the side while our main cast members fight the main villains right now. I really hope that the Dragovura was not used on the Goliath, and then it's just completely gone. There's no other piece of it left for Worldane to use for a future plan or experiment or whatever. It'd feel like a waste of a narrative plot point, because it felt like it would be something incredibly important to use, but hopefully it was just a little bit of it, and there's still some left that Arthur could use for some grandmaster plan. But let me know the thoughts and opinions on this chapter in the comments section down below. I'm starting to do shorts responding to comments. It's a lot of fun. They're replacing the chapter discussion videos for the time being, so I can just post a bit more regularly every day for shorts. So let me know in the comments what you think, your theories, criticisms, etc. I'll respond to as many as I can in terms of shorts, and we'll keep going from there. And what's more, if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel. It shows you want to see more. And if you want to support the channel a bit more directly, go and check out my Patreon. I'm trying to do some more reaction content. I'm going to try and upload some videos on there earlier then on the channel with discussions, theories, and even big review videos, as well as trying to do some other stuff over there. And you'll get access to my Patreon-only Discord server so you can talk to everybody else outside of the videos. I'm trying to make that as fun as possible, but if you want to support the channel a lot more directly, check out my Patreon, link in the description. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.